Welcome to Shoot First, Ask Questions Later, where we research the response of our past and review their relevance for today. This is your host, Moshe Kurtz. Welcome, my friends, to another episode of Shoot First, Ask Questions Later. Today, we have the immense zchus to be joined by Rav Yaakov Bender Shlita, who is the Rosh HaYeshiva of Yeshiva Darchei Torah in Rockaway, New York, is a Musmach of the Mirrer Yeshiva, founder of Hatzalah in Flatbush and Rockaway, member of the Vaad of Roshei Yeshivos Torah Umesorah, and also resident rabbi at Camp Banim for over 50 years. Now, having grown up in Rockaway personally, and having attended Yeshiva Darchei Torah from kindergarten through Masifta, and also I had a short stint at Camp Banim, I can hardly think of a rabbinic figure who has so significantly shaped my early education, as well as that of countless Yidden. And it is the theme of education, or chinuch rather, which is precisely what we will be discussing today. Through the lens of fascinating teshuvos of the Rashka Bahag, Rav Moshe Feinstein, Zecher Tzad Kodesh Bracha, in which he was called upon to adjudicate many pressing shilas in the area of halacha. And then I'll ask our esteemed guest, Rav Yaakov Bender Shlita, to share some of his Das Torah, as well as practical experience with how these psakim are, or perhaps aren't, implemented in practice. So we'll start off easing ourselves in. There is a tshuva in Igros Moshe in Yordei Chelik Beis Siman Kuf Dalid, in which Rav Moshe talks about the importance of ensuring that every Jewish child receives a proper Jewish education. And he bases this on the Gemara at the beginning of Chagiga and Hakel. And he writes that the message is, Af im yeda bebar shlo yelo shum to'els mehalimud. Even if a child is not going to gain anything from what they are learning, there's still this gezer sakasiv. There's still this value to ensuring every child has a proper education. So I know Yeshiva Darchei Torah has done a lot of work when I was there, back when it was in trailers, and it's done a lot more work since it's built up all the edifices which are in progress. So Rabbi Bender, can you share with our listeners a little bit about how Yeshiva Darchei Torah has implemented that kind of philosophy?
Basically, is Chanoch L'Na'api Darchei exists. If it exists, you got to help every single kid that comes in your doors. There is a ruach of elitism in the country, which was really, generally speaking, the college world, not really now yeshivas. It used to be that a kid went to learn. In the college world, it's by marks. You get a 4.0, you're great. 3.9, you're also good, but you're not as good as 4.0, not by us. As it should be based on effort, how much effort a kid can put in and what he wants to put in, et cetera, et cetera. And so that way, a little bit, I'm going to go for tangent to go quickly, but report cards can be a problem. There's no place report cards for effort, really to show the real effort. It's just effort, shkida. But that's understood. But I think that we have to realize that Torah is given to every single child in the world. There's a Gemara in Sanhedrin, I think Tzaddik Aleph of a base. The Gemara says over there, Kilu Geisling Menachlas Avaisav Shenemar, Peritzilon Moshe Barasha Kilas Yaakov Kihilas. It says is Kilas Yaakov that belongs to every single Jew in Klal Yisrael. And if you don't, it's a problem. And the Marsha says, is referring to even someone like Rav Preda. Famous Gemara we all know about Rav Preda. Preda taught one Talmud every day, 400 times the same Gemara. And one time he was distracted or somewhat. The Talmud needed to say it again. He said it again. And the Gemara Taisus, it tells us he got a choice at that time. Does he want Olam Haba, live to 400 years, Olam Haba for the whole day, or whatever? They gave him both. If a child can't learn and wants to learn Torah, it's our job. It doesn't say anyway, each kid has to have 150 IQ. He has to be a boy that's a Yiddish kid that wants to learn Torah. And this wasn't on. So when I became an Aleph Darchei Torah, there was one child particularly was a very, very difficult, didn't go well for him. And we brought in a teacher, Mrs. Rivka Gutkin, at that time, if you remember. Mrs. Rivka Gutkin came in, she just came in to teach this child. And I saw how he changed, how he improved, that slowly but surely. That's basically how it evolved. And today we have, I think, 21 teachers in the resource room. And we have Bli Ein Hara, and then we don't have enough room for them. They're in the hallways over there. And we're working with them. The government now does help a lot vis-a-vis helping kids with learning disabilities. That's a very good part. But we have expanded it to the point where we have, maybe I'll leave it for later, vocational program for the high school boys. which I'll get to later. So we try to give every kid the chinuch. And I think the greatest thing which I want to say is that when this strong kids see what we're doing for the shvacha kids, let's say the weaker children, they grow. We push them hard. All my shmus and you say sichot, whatever we do, we try very hard to get the kids to understand that if they want to see siyat d'shmaya, help their fellow classmate. And when you do that, you're helping the other kids. So it's grown and grown and grown, and Yeshiva still has a good reputation. People are afraid taking weak kids because it takes down. You're not Harvard anymore, right? You're not Columbia. Sure, maybe it's a schus not to be Columbia and Harvard these days with what's going on with the anti-Semitism.
If I may,
That's
something
what
I
it's about,
something I
sure.
joke to, I tell jokes to in the more modernish circles. I say, the Igros Yisrael and the Yeshiva Shefel was ahead of the times on that.
They were, but I think today we're all involved and they're very good. The OU is working very hard in this area also. They're good, and the OU are working very hard in this area, and to get government funding and so on for these things, because it's very expensive. Getting these people to teach is very, very expensive. We
Mm-hmm.
try hard, and the Maisa, the Nachas Ruach, I once had a story, I didn't even name it Yeshiva. There's a certain Yeshiva in Israel, didn't want to take an Al-Bachram. And it was a long, long story and the boys wanted to go. There's very chashuv. I said, when I went to Israel the next time, I went to visit him. He said, he said, Lawrence, come on, and you have a resource room. I said, so what's wrong? What's wrong? Because he has a very strong yeshiva. There's a resource room. And I said to him, this guy said, Chaim, you have a younger man, Avrech in your field, his name is Chaim. Oh yeah, my best. I said, he's your best. I set him up. It was great. It's such a good feeling. I set him up for the kill. I said, he's the best Avrech I ever had. I said, that he's in second grade. I taught him how to read in the resource room. He almost like a deer, in the headlights, to save it himself. Well, the Maisa, he took in the next 3 Barachim that we sent him, and he doesn't even ask us about the Barachim anymore. He takes them all in. So I think people have to realize that it's incumbent on us to help every single child to learn Torah.
Absolutely. And I think something I remember from my many years on campus at Yeshiva Darchei Torah, something that made an indelible impression on me is, even for a student who is capable. So my Yiddish is a little schwach. I picked up some of the Yeshiva charade, of course, when I was there. But every now and then we would bring in a gadol who would come in and he would give us shmooze in Yiddish. And I remember each and every one of my rebbeim every year, and I think it was under Rebbe's guidance, would say, you may not understand what he's saying, but there's something there. And the impression it made upon me is this notion of kavod haTorah, that even if you don't understand the content intellectually of what's happening, the notion that this is kavod haTorah and this is the honor that one gives to a major Talmid Chacham, that's
Right.
something that stuck with me.
Last week, David Kain, the Rebbe and Rosh HaYeshiva was here. A lot of our own brothers don't understand Yiddish. You know what? They all understood him with his motions, with his hands, little words here and there. They saw Kabbalah Torah, which was wonderful. Mamish was just saying that happened last week where David Kain came to speak in the yeshiva. He came here for the Karen Torah that they have now, at the fundraising for the yeshivas in Israel. Anyways, then he spoke, and the kids understood him. Even if they didn't understand, they understood him. So bringing Gedolei Israel is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And also come out with chesed. Kids should learn how to be nice to each other, to help others. That's what we have a number of kids in wheelchairs in the yeshiva. You know what it does for a boy who pushes a wheelchair onto the ball field and throws a ball to a kid who can't get out of his wheelchair? You grow and you become. We are not. The Torah was given to all of us. Everybody has to get a little bit of the Torah. You got to keep on doing that.
I think that's a beautiful idea, and that's something that I've always known. My mother, who I should give a shout out to, of course, Mrs. Amy Kurtz, working in the tuition office, she knows, and she always she didn't give me private information, of course, but I would hear how everyone was welcome to Darchei, no matter who you are, no matter what.
She's you don't get into Darchei without going through Amy first, your mother, and you get through that's when you get into the door, and she understands which kids we want to help. She does. When you get an application with IEP on it, et cetera, all kinds of things. So what? So what? And we'll grow. And she understands that. She's great.
Absolutely. So, pivoting to another question, and this is like a hashkafic question that I personally am trying to navigate myself. And I would imagine many of our listeners, if they think about the issue, they might be struck with a similar, almost like a stira. And allow me to explain. So there is a tshuva in Igros Moshe, but it's not just him. Rav Elio Dessler, Michtam Eliyahu, as well as other places, they address the question of corporal punishment. Now, I'll say very clearly for the listeners who don't know me, just to be very abundantly clear, it's not something that I would even think of or have a havamina of doing. It's not something I would encourage doing, but it's something that I can't help but notice that when one learns Maseches Makos, you're going through Ian Bekias, whatever it might be, and it's right there, based, I believe, on a pasuk in Mishlei. And Rav Moshe in his tshuva, when he's trying to navigate it, he says, Shechin Aser Lamelami Lahachzik Makil Biyad. So you're not allowed to have a rod. El Tsar Shia Muchan Etzel Raka Ritzua Katan. It should be a little strap. So even Rav Moshe seems to try to diminish it, but not completely. And my shaila is as follows. Corporal punishment, what one could say this is a good thing probably, that we don't do it anymore in education. But yet it seems that the Torah or the Gemara unequivocally promotes something of that nature. So my question isn't so much about corporal punishment, but it's about how do we understand that when Chazal, when we have Umesorah is telling us one thing, and modern practice tells us something else, whether it's because it's more ethical, whether it's because it's proper practice, how do we reconcile that?
It's a loaded question. It's a hard question. I grapple with it. I struggle with it. I grew up in a yeshiva when we were Teredas, which we all grew up in those yeshivas, and where hitting was commonplace. I don't mean Teredas, not all yeshivas. See the yeshivas, so on and so forth. I didn't understand it then. I understand it today. And I understand in Europe, they used to hit the kids, right? Very commonplace thing to hit the kids. I didn't understand it. I think we did not like yeshiva as children. We were afraid of some rebellion, which is not good. Some kids left yeshiva. I mean, not only Teredas, I mean, all yeshivas. Teredas today, no one touches a kid. And kids left yeshiva angry and upset at not being treated well. And so, to me personally, I don't. It's a kasha when the Mishnah says a mak is right. That's a of right. Is talmidai. I'm sorry. Of is benai instead of the Rebbe. The right is talmidai. That it comes to the point where Imamish kills him by accident. I decided a long time ago personally. I'm gonna leave that alone. I don't understand it. I just don't understand it because lamaisa that system does not work. It does not work. I had a cousin from let's go the more modern part of our family who went to a different yeshiva, not that one, early years of after the war, and his Rebbe mugged him. And he left. He went to public school the next day. I call him mugging. That's how bad he got beat up. This I heard from his own mother. And he left school and he went to public school the next day and he married a gaita. And he left yeshiva because he was so upset. So I don't know the nachas ruach. Should a kid be afraid of a patch? Maybe yeah. There's chutzpah sometimes today. Kids are not afraid of anything and anybody today. On the other hand, when we saw our principal on Shabbos, right, we shook from nervousness. Today, you see a principal on Shabbos, you go say your Shabbos to him. And you come back to Yeshiva the next morning, the kid runs over to you. Hey, Rabbi, I saw you in this place. So I don't understand it. It certainly works for Baron Leib, who was the guiding force to us for many years on a major challenge to Yisrael. Baron Leib Steinman, before he became Baron Leib, when Rav Shach said, you're the new man. Before that, he always told me, goodness. I don't believe Rav Moshe ever laid a finger on a kid. Rav Moshe was a mechanech. I don't believe that. Rav Moshe so he says that because the Chazal say it, they say it. We have to figure out what they meant by that. But I would never go against that. But I believe the system in place today, kids today run into yeshiva. They're happy. We didn't want to go to yeshiva. I used to put the thermometer on the radiator, get it to 102 and a half, right? And show it, Mom, I'm sick. And then I would be sent to the doctor and sat by the doctor who had a TV. We didn't have a TV at home. And I sat there all day watching TV. And people had, it's your next year, Yaakov Bender. And I would say, no, I'll stay. You go ahead of me. Because we sat there. We didn't want to go to school. But today's schools are really much better. I must say, they really are. You see all the derricks go down. The amount of Torah out there today, come on, the amount of Torah in yeshivas, what's going on in Lakewood and in the whole world. I mean, it's a dire. Akshir means that the dire really wants to learn Torah. And we don't hit them. And the kids are happy coming to school.
And it's something
too much.
And it's something that I know when I was, a young kid going in kindergarten already to Yeshiva Darchei Torah in the morning. And one of the highlights was seeing Rebbe, the Roshei Yeshiva there, giving a kush on the Kepala as every kid comes in.
Some lady, I don't get it, because on Instagram, there's some kind of lady that speaks badly about anybody, whoever touches anybody. I understand the real molesting situations, but I heard that she includes me in a list of bad people that kiss the kids on their head. By the way, I'm very careful all the years Never on that, only on the yarmulke. I'm very, very careful because the world's crazy. Now, is there a problem with molestation? I'm sure there is, but Baruch Hashem, that's not my issue. I have some issues, but this is not it. And it's very hard to understand. So this lady goes after me. You know what? I keep on doing it. The first day yeshiva, I'm out there every morning welcoming the kids. I want them to come running into yeshiva with the Torah. I want them to love the Rebbeim, to love me. I need to love. I want them to love the concept of walking into yeshiva and learning Torah. So the whole hitting thing flies in that face. The fear, there was a yeshiva that I was told by somebody that the kids tell you run into class first to get a front seat.
Wow.
You couldn't get a front seat at a yeshiva. This is years ago. And the Rebbe would line everybody up, right? Put your hand down like this, you put your hand down, and give a zetz with a ruler. And if you don't behave, this is the Baruch Haba. If you don't behave, it's going to be a lot worse than this. Now, that's the way you welcome a kid to yeshiva. I don't understand. So he asked me a very good question with Ritzuas and all these Achani. Is a very good question. Certainly, you have to say different dar, different yanim, and things have dramatically changed. There's no reason to hit kids today. There's no reason. I don't see it. I'm not going against the Gemara Chas v'Shalom. I don't see it. I just don't see it. I don't understand it. I say it all the time publicly. So someone says, but the Gemara says. I don't understand the Gemara is what I answered. The Gemara says obviously things were different in those days. Right. And with Pasha was expected. People were a little bit different those days. Today, it's a different world. I think so. I can't say more than that.
Right. It's definitely it's a bit of a, not just a bit. It's a it's a tzarachian that I've been trying to wrap my head around. But I'll say unequivocally, in case any listener or someone wants to splice out a piece.
I go to Michelle Hirsch right now. Rebbe Yeshivos for many, many years in American Phil Kamenetsky, they don't believe this is the Mahalach. So I don't have to worry about it right now. I know that you have to follow the Gdelim and our Der who do not believe in this methodology. They don't. That's all. What can I tell you?
Absolutely. And I'll clarify just for anyone who may have just heard a sound clip or something from this and didn't listen to the whole thing. I'll reiterate, this was asked Lidrosh L'Kabel Schar to just understand how we deal with Mamori Chazal that aren't in practice. But certainly we're advocating the approach Rabbi Bender just mentioned, which is to do so with Ahava.
It works. Look what's going on in this world today with Torah. Look what's going on.
Absolutely.
It works. Be nice to kids who want Torah.
And I, as a product, I can say so myself, having gone through it. So one final thing I want to get to is that there is a really fascinating tshuva in Igros Moshe. It's in Roshei Mishpat Chelik Beis Siman Nun Aleph. The question, which I'm not going to go for the main question. The main question was that there was a Maggid Shir, and the Maggid Shir, I believe, passed away. And then the question was, does the son now come up and now give the Shir? Do they have an open convention? So I don't want to deal with that question. But what's interesting, what I noticed in Rav Moshe's response, where he defends the son taking over the role of Maggid Shir from his father, some of the people who are objecting to the son taking over, they argued that he hasn't spent enough time in this particular yeshiva, and he doesn't know the idiosyncrasies of the Darchei limud, of the methodology that's used. But Rav Moshe rejects that claim out of hand, and he makes a very sweeping statement. He writes, even though everyone has their own idiosyncrasies, everyone has their own unique style, but fundamentally, there is no difference. As long as someone's learning Torah, has the skills, and is really trying to understand the amkus of Torah, then fundamentally there's not so much of a difference. So I'm curious if in Rebbe's experience, I guess two questions. One is, would Rebbe say, is there a play on words here, a Darchei derech halimud? And how does that manifest inside the hallowed halls of the yeshiva?
This is a real issue. Some people believe they have the key to the derech halimud, and their way is the only way. I once had a very big argument with one of the people who believes in his yeshiva they're learning it a certain way. No one should figure it out. And I said to him, I don't understand. If you want to say your derech halimud is the best, I got no problem. But don't say the other ones are wrong. They're learning. They're matzliach. We're all wonderful. Those yeshivas that insist on learning a certain way, they believe really other places don't know what they're doing. You kidding? Come on, leave me alone. Of course they know what they're doing. You don't like that? They're fine. There's no question that there are people out there like that, and it's shtus and hevel. It really is. Some say that you learn like a 3 bladders a man, even rapper, some say like 10, 20 bladders up. Torah works. It works. It's Mechayim Mesim. It does wonderful things. Torah. Don't think you're the one who discovered Torah. Look at the Gedali Yisrael. Don't learn like you, and they're fine. They find issues. You feel, I get at least once every 2 or 3 weeks, someone wants to come bring in a program to Yeshiva or how to really how to really learn Gemara. They know the way. They figured it out how to learn Gemara. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. My father learned this way. My grandfather learned a certain way. We're all learning Gemara a certain way. Everything fits. Do it. If you have a certain Yishmak, some people learn Bekiyas, some learn a little bit more, but you'll find whatever the Yishmak you have, what makes you help become a Talmid Chacham. Don't be about other people. Don't be about other people and say it's ridiculous. We all fit into the same idea and concept of learning Torah Lishma. That's what we have to try to do. How you get there? Different ways of getting there. It doesn't passel anybody else.
And what's interesting is following the yeshiva's news. Correct me if I'm mistaken. I think there's now a cohort of Kol Younger Light who are learning Aliba de Hilchasa for Smicha now. So can Rebbe tell us about that?
We just started 2 years ago. The learning for Smicha. Avi Ladabach is one of the people that are in charge of it, and really a great Levi Simsowitz. And my son David Rosh Kolel is the one overall in charge of it. And they go for a bechina every couple months. They finish the sugya to Rabbi Yisrael Reisman from Tarvadas. They go over, and it's wonderful. Same as marriage. We try to get them all to learn one seder a day, the Yeshiva Masechta. So all these 12 guys are learning in the morning the Yeshiva Masechta, whatever the Yeshiva like now. The Dance Baba Kama, for example, right? They're trying to do that, but you got to find. We need Rabbanim. We need Mirrer, Raw, Paiskim. We need them very badly. And so these guys are learning at Raw. They go for Shimush to certain Rebbeim, other people. They're learning Chasnida with Shimush. And the question is what the curriculum should be. Some people believe, they say Basa B'chalov is learned intensively, right? It takes a lot of time. I'm not sure. Maybe it should change. Maybe Basa B'chalov is not as necessary today. And Mishnah Berurah, Anuchah Shabbos was never part of the Smicha curriculum. Isn't it more important today? No. Isn't that what the Shilas are? I think Hilchas Nida, I don't think was in the program in Europe. In those days, it was Malicha and Basa B'chalov, etc., and a lot of Yeridea, but that's why you have Yad. I'm not saying, but I think you have to accommodate the Zmanim. I think we don't just do any salting at home, so we stop Malicha right at home. We don't do it today. It's maybe a few people here and there that do their own shkita and so on. So I think you have to really accommodate the Zmanenu, and I think today Chaim is very, very critical. So I'm not sure exactly what's an evolving program right now. Right now, pretty standard. We did Chasnida, we're doing Nachas B'Chas B'Chalov. There's going to be changes, and we also we hope to find the right way. But we need Meir Era and Klai, so we do Rabban.
And this is just something that is remarkable for me, having spent many wonderful years on campus at Darchei, but also now as an alumnus watching from afar. Though I guess I should drop by and visit sometime soon.
More and more boys want to go in. Rashiva Baltuski, my colleague, we look at every boy who should be. We has to fit, but it's really a very high level of learning. Not everybody's ready for that. But
right,
it's working. It's the Smicha
program, and it's so remarkable that every year there's some new development. I think there's a new building that's being constructed now.
Yeah, two buildings. If anybody out there with a lot of money, come on forward. It's a $40 million project, but it's going well. Hashem.
That reminds me.
Very large today.
I went to my younger brother Avi's graduation when he finished Masifta. I think it was when he finished Masifta. So Rabbi Trank, after giving one of his misas, which always is the talk of the table afterwards. He's like, and you can write a big check to Rabbi Bender. So
Moshe Kurtz, whoever's out there listening, Moshe Kurtz is really our pride and joy. What he's become and developed into. He wanted to speak halacha today. I said, stay away. I'm not as good as you in halacha. You're going to be way ahead of me. He's Kanahara. What a pride and joy. Amy, if you're on there somewhere listening, it's the middle of the night in Israel, but you can be proud of your boys, Kanahara.
It means a lot. Thank you so much. And maybe I can ask just for one more ha'ara from Rebbe.
As long as you want, I'm fine. I cleared up my calendar, yeah.
Oh, wow. So one more ha'ara. So when we learn Pirkei Avos, many times we see Hu Haya Omer, and there's very chashuv Tana in there. And clearly, when it says Hu Haya Omer, it doesn't just mean like this was the one thing that they taught, and that was it. Then they left Yeshiva for the rest of their life. It means that it was their motto, that was correct. The Iker lesson that they wanted to impart in the next generation.
That was this thing, yeah.
So if I were to, I know it's a little bit on the spot, but if I were to ask Rebbe, what would be Rebbe's Hu Haya Omer? What is the important lesson of chinuch that Rebbe would want to get across to Klal Yisrael?
Yeshua ben Gamla, right? What did Yeshua ben Gamla do? He organized that the kids who didn't have fathers, someone's going to learn with them. Learn with them. It's wonderful. And Yeshua ben Gamla, the Stakach Torah Yisrael. The Torah would have been forgotten because kids didn't have who to teach them Torah. If Rabbi Shmuel Belsky has discussion many years ago, he says, so who would have forgotten Torah? Those kids. Those kids, the assignment, or the ones that didn't have an older brother, whatever, they'll forget Torah. The Gemara is saying, Israel. If we don't take care of the children that need to be helped, our Torah will be worthless.
Wow.
Our Torah, that's what he said. It makes sense. Israel. If we, the bright ones, the smart ones, the great geniuses, the 4.0 averages, if we don't see to it that every single child gets Torah, it means to help a Yosem. You know what it means when our Gedalim taught us about Yisrael and Almanas? So to me, the guiding principle should be, it is mine anyways, we got to help every single kid. Not every, I can't take in every kid with issues to the yeshiva because then the regular heart of the parent body won't be so happy because, you're taking in too many kids that could turn over a class upside down. But we got to be committed. And if we can help them, find someone who can help them. Everybody's going to help every single year in Torah. It's critically important that we out there should hear the Torah was given to all of us and they're entitled to it. One of my famous Gemara, Torah Rabbi Yana Lenemar. Rabbi Yana does this Marshkia. There was an Amaris that ate in his house, etc., etc. I don't see it. It says Torah Moshe Marshkia Kilas Yaakov Kilas Rabbi Yana doesn't say. He says this is what the Amaris said to him. I want to know Torah, and kids out there want to learn. They want to be part of Klal Yisrael. They want the way to be part of Klal Yisrael is by learning Torah. And so I think if there's a motto or a statement I would have, Hu HaYaimer is help people learn Torah really. And if you have extra half hour or something, go give somebody. A young man in our yeshiva became a guy in ended up marrying into the Lakewood dynasty. The Yeshivos over there. And I asked him once, how did you make it? Purim. He wouldn't have said to me any other day. He got a little bit high, tipsy a little bit. So he says, I think 6 times a day I put away 10 minutes to learn a week of kids. That was really catapulted me. He wouldn't say normally, he's talking about himself. So everybody out there should hear, help people. You're doing Torah and Chesed. Torah is Chesed. Very first Torah is Chesed again and again and again. What is Chesed? Torah Chesed is to teach you how to help other people also.
Wow.
I think that's key.
I
really,
think
very key.
This is what I've heard. I remember every Friday the shmuzin from the Roshei Yeshiva and the Torah of compassion, and inclusivity is one of these buzzwords that you hear around in the ganze Welt today. But I think what Rebbe's talking about, this is real inclusivity. Thinking about everyone, regardless of skill level, regardless of financials.
I want to tell you something. My father was nifter very young. My mother, at that time, started raising all of us because she was the one. My mother, Allah Hashem, was the first Moshe Kurtz teacher in America.
Wow.
She was a survivor. Her whole family, kamat, totally. Parents wiped out, came here to America, and never raised a voice with us. She would say, Yankel, I'm disappointed in you. That was enough to hurt me. She'd say it 10 times a day, I'm disappointed in you. But my mother never laid a finger on any of his kids. Never gave a patch. Isn't that standard in a house? A kid gets a patchula from a father and a mother, right? Isn't that standard? Never my mother. Never ever. She was my best friend, my mother. Because when I was learning in Philadelphia Yeshiva, my father was nifter. At 15 years old, I came back to New York, and I was my mother's roommate for 8 years. I traveled on the subways to Mirrer Yeshiva Ocean Parkway, morning and late night. And she taught me everything, a lot of things she taught me. The main thing is also to be nice, to be sweet, and be pleasant. I don't remember my mother ever yelling at us, ever. They say to yourself, you're a father, right? How's it shayach? It's shayach. You got to train yourself how to raise kids. It's a very important subject, how to raise kids.
I think that's something that's remarkable about Rebbe's story, that Rebbe took what was a very challenging chapter early in his life, and then he used it as how can he help others who would find themselves in a similar position. And that's really, I think that's really the part of the secret sauce of why Baruch Hashem, Darchei has been so successful.
Oh yeah,
I want to thank Rebbe for his time. I also want to give a shout out to Mrs. Gordon, I know, who behind the scenes knows all.
I can't do anything. She's my boss. She's my boss. Are you kidding? And if she doesn't give me time, I can't do it. Okay, but you know what? If she ever decided to retire, it'll take 6 people to replace her. She does. She runs the place. She's great. She's great.
Wow. Well,
I remember that school secretary. I remember my sister Blummy, now it's like 70 years ago, 60 years ago, was a school secretary. And how's your sister doing? Guys would say to me, they remember Blummy. So she's Mrs. Gordon of our yeshiva. That's all.
Wow. So
bracha to you.
Thank you so much, Rebbe.
Big nachas ruach Moshe.
It means so much. Thank you so much, Rebbe.
Atzliach, and you should go well in B'tzishem.
Amen. Thank you for listening to Shoot First, Ask Questions Later. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to rate us, subscribe, and leave a review. If you would like to submit a letter to the editor, sponsor an episode, or just have a general inquiry, please email me at mitchelmkurtz@gmail.com. This is Moshe Kurtz, and I look forward to learning with you next time on Shoot First, Ask Questions Later.